Hello, everyone. So we can either be infinite or we can be limited. To be limited means what? It means to have a spark of light. It means to have like a little bit of that happiness, but really it's superficial, it's short term. It's like having a piece of candy, like, oh, it's nice, it's nice. But then what happens? There's a crash. And it's limited. Why limit ourselves to a fleeting gratification when we can have everything? But with being limited, that instant gratification can sometimes pull us out of the world of abundance and infinity to the point where we actually become completely ignorant. The whole system is designed for us to feel some sort of lack. All the capital cities of the ego, the pride, the lust, the greed, it's all designed so that you feel like you don't have what you need, which is an illusion. To access the world of infinity, you must realize and have complete certainty that you have everything. This is what I'm making this video for, is to reassure to ourselves that we have everything. If you're scared of not having enough money and being broke, the only thing that could actually result in that happening is your fear. Think about that. The world is a reflection of what you hold internally. So maybe if you can actually embody the abundance, then that is what will reflect externally. So this is how we exit the reactive world, because the world of limitations is simply reactive. It means that anything so that you feel lack, because as soon as you feel lack, you must have an instant gratification. You must depend on a particular outcome. So the second we feel lack, we must feel fear, because we feel like we must have something. And if we don't have that thing, then we are scared because we've attributed all of our power to it. So think about a drug addict, for example. And that might be like, oh, a drug addict. But really the drug could be that TV show. It could be that 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 habit that you have. It could be that constant need to check social media. It could be that need to feel like you have to talk and gossip about people. Whatever it is. The way it works is that they feel like they need to have some sort of material thing in order to be happy, and this is where the illusion is. So how do we access the world of infinity? How do we stop being addicts and exit this world of finite pleasure? Because why have a cup of water when you can have infinite water and swim in the ocean and enjoy infinity, because that's the world of miracles and abundance. So there's many ways in which we actually keep ourselves limited, and we really need to work with honesty here. So what we're gonna consider is honesty, because when we consider the world of finite pleasure, how deep does this really go? In what ways are we really limiting ourselves? In what ways are we being in the world of limits by staying reactive? Remember, this is anything in which we feel an instant gratification. So that, we feel lack and we need to have something external happen. So how does this really happen with you? Um, maybe you have a very successful friend who's doing well, makes a lot of money, people love them, they speak well. Is there a part of you that secretly hopes they have a setback, that secretly hears that they had some sort of issue and you felt a little bit of a gratification about that? In what ways are you secretly staying in the world of limits? When you go shopping and you see yourself walking down an aisle that you really don't need to walk down, but you want people to secretly look at you so that you can get some sort of gratification. Or maybe you dress a certain way to maybe impress someone, and maybe that person is married, but you want that because there's a gratification. How honest can we really be with ourselves? And how do we go deeper and deeper and deeper? what we see, we observe, we have awareness, and as we are observing ourselves, we can start to see these things. And we if the, it's not for the people that don't want to, transform and bring the light, because this involves true observation. And how much easier would it be to say, no, I'm just not going to look at that. That's not really me, and it probably doesn't actually matter. But when we realize that we are literally, how are we supposed to shift our intention to want infinity when we don't realize that the world of finite pleasure is it's extremely limiting. This is where we have people with chaos in their life, and it seems like they have undesirable circumstances. But we have to truly want to see how we are limiting ourselves if we really want to break free of that. So how are we actually, staying in the finite world? This is the sort of thing where it requires self-observation, and we can talk about how to be self-observant in a very honest, objective way, because to be in the world of finite pleasure is something that requires so much honesty, where maybe it looks like you're in the world of infinity, but you're not, because this is internal. Because externally, maybe you're donating to charities, maybe you're making people dinner every night, maybe you're giving people compliments. But internally, what's the energy? Because the energy never lies. And this is where we can easily find ourselves being deceived. Maybe you're giving someone, maybe you're giving somebody a gift, but maybe it's because you secretly want some of their money. You want them to actually give you money at some point. So you think that you can maybe like secretly bribe them. Or maybe you're doing the dishes. That's a very noble act, to do the dishes. But internally, what's going on? The internal state, the internal energy is absolutely what matters, because that's the only way to access the world of infinity. That's where the work is. So how do we do this? The first thing is that we must observe this. We must self-observe ourselves, and be in the awareness and seeing ourselves as we go throughout our day. What are my thoughts? What are my feelings? And what are my desires? And we can start to hear little whispers, and we can start to see like, oh, I notice that I'm walking in a particular direction because maybe I want this attractive person to look at me. And you start seeing these voices or these emotions. And this is why we work with meditation and connecting with nature, going on walks, because it taps us into that, building that connection with the awareness, because we cannot break these habits. We cannot transform this darkness if we aren't seeing it. So anything we can do to build this ability that we have, we all have this ability to this spark of light to be aware of ourselves. Well, it's very important. This is why we talk about meditation and walking, and especially in the moments where we are triggered. This is where work can truly be done. This is where we can really see things bubble up to the surface. If you're at peace and you're on the mountains, that's great. But are you transforming the darkness? Your container is limited. You can't hold in more abundance because there's still darkness within you, and that's holding trapped light. So let me explain that, because this is very important. There's light. There's the qualities of the light of the Creator. This is abundance. This is peace. This is wholeness. This is certainty. Contrast what it's like to live a life in fear of like, oh, I don't know if I have what I need. What if I don't have enough money? And then contrast that with the world of somebody who is in the flow state. Maybe they're painting, or maybe they're in just a very nice meditation. One is the world of limitations, where there's lack and a need for something external, and the other is the world of abundance, of miracles. So we want to be in the world of infinity, but we only have a certain container for that, because we can only hold so much of that abundant energy, right? Because maybe you're like a 4 ounce cup, but you can only you can only embody that abundance to such an extent because you're a 4 ounce cup. But you have all these opportunities to expand that cup so that you can hold in more abundance. So all of the darkness that you see, it's actually trapped light. It's actually showing you, hey, you could hold in like a lot of water. You could be a huge container for abundance, which would manifest better external circumstances, and it would manifest a higher level of happiness internally as well. But hey, as much as I want to give you all this abundance, all this water, you're kind of just this small cup. And so it's when we observe ourselves and see the darkness that we can eradicate the limitations, and we can allow our vessel to expand, to hold in more, And this is what our soul came here to do. Our soul has this particular design of darkness. Our soul comes in as like a little seed. It comes in as like a little container. It's like, hey, I'd love to see this sprout into a flower. And I'd love to see this little cup of water become an ocean, a pool of abundance, of light. So the soul comes in as a little thing, and then it's through, if it works, if we are doing this internal work, the great work, if we are doing this work, that vessel that the soul comes in, it can expand, it can grow like a flower blooming. This is simply a pattern of life. It looks different for the different kingdoms. Like this purpose that I'm referring to, it might look different for the animal kingdom, it might look different for the plant kingdom. In terms of the human realm, what it looks like is the soul coming in with a little bit of a seed, a small jug, small cup, and to fulfill its purpose means to grow into a flower, to grow into the perfect vessel to contain all of the light. So that's why we particularly come into the world with darkness. And it's authentic to everybody because each soul has its most fulfilled version, and it's infinitely unique amidst every soul. And it comes in with the darkness that is completely, if it was transformed, would result in that authentic, true, infinite light of that particular soul. So there's a particular design of darkness for each soul, right? It's just like a garden, each flower has a different, it might look like a garden, but there's infinite, unique, like authenticity. So this is very important because we're talking about the causes, not the effects here. Because a therapist might say, or a psychiatrist might say, hey, you were bullied as a kid, your parents didn't treat you very well when you were a kid, and people neglected you when you were a kid. So naturally, of course, you have issues with insecurity. You feel like you need validation. However, if we were to, by studying the teachings of the great sages, of Jesus Christ, of Abraham, of Samael and Veor, of Buddha, and through our own direct experience, we would realize actually it's the other way around. Our soul has a particular, due to past lives and its authentic darkness, so that it can earn the light. There is a particular design of darkness for that soul so that it can come into the world and have it be triggered. That's exactly what it needs. It needs the darkness to be triggered so that it can specifically fulfill its purpose. And this is the product of past lifetimes, but it's also, why is it this way? Why don't we just get born with a soul and it's done, completely awakened? Well, because the darkness needs to know itself. And it's like if a father was to give his son a puzzle, and the father was like, hey, I don't want to see you struggle too much. I'm gonna make this, I'm gonna give you a gift, okay? So he gets the puzzle and he makes the puzzle and he gives the finished puzzle to the kid. So, and then the kid is like, well, I don't know if this is really a gift because you did it for me. I didn't get to experience any sort of reward. I didn't get to earn this. This is just a finished puzzle. I want to do it. So the soul chooses to do it. The soul chooses to earn the light, come into the picture and take on a physical vessel, enter this physical gym of life. And this is why we must remind ourselves that everything is happening for us. Everything, we must be certain that it is specifically exactly here. Everything is perfect in this moment. Everything you're seeing, everything that's around you, whatever psychological patterns that are being triggered in your life, it is all perfectly orchestrated to poke at the darkness so that the darkness can bubble up and say, hey, you're a seed. You're a small vessel. You can become bigger. You can transform. You can become a flower. You can become a pool to hold in all of this abundance. That would be great. So you have that expansion, you have that light, but it's bottled up. It's bottled up in this self-pity dynamic, this savior complex, this narcissism that you have. So every time, and especially in the moments where we are most triggered, we feel that darkness. It is that in that confusion, in that extreme pull to identify with the limited world, it is in those moments where you can bring the light there. That is exactly where, if you can stay on that vibration of knowing that, oh, my soul needed this. I'm on the vibration that this is perfect. I'm on the vibration that I want to transform this. And even when it's so hard and you're so identified or feeling like you want to be identified with whatever has been awakened, whether it's the greed, whether it's the anger, when we stay on the vibration of certainty, on the vibration of awareness, on the vibration of the being, of the soul's spark of light that it came into the world with, if we can be on that vibration, then the expansion, then the container expands, then the seed can grow. The seed can become a flower because of whatever was holding it back, of whatever limitations were in place are being destroyed. So what a pleasure that you're angry. What a pleasure that you want to have good friends, you want to have a good relationship with the people in your life, but they seem to be neglecting you, or they seem to be like kind of speaking negatively about you. What a pleasure. That is great. That is really good. Actually, that's a blessing. Actually, the more the merrier. The more the merrier, because that is exactly what your soul has been yearning for. Your soul is like, hey, yes. But the body consciousness, the physical vessel is saying, no, this is bad, this is horrible. But that's where the light can meet the darkness and reveal the transformation. So let's be on the vibration of certainty. Let's realize when we start to feel fear about money, when we start to feel fear about scary things happening, of not having what we want, of not getting, of like not having people like us. Let's be grateful for every time we feel like we need to be scared of not having that. Let's be grateful for every time that we feel like we need to search for instant gratification, because that is exactly what your soul needs to fulfill its purpose. And the beauty is that the more we observe ourselves and the light opens, then we make more room to observe ourselves deeper. So maybe you're on a level where you notice like, I'm noticing I want validation on Instagram, and that's why I'm posting things. And you transform that. There's darkness there, and you observe it. You stay on the vibration of certainty, and you transform that. That's great. Well, now you've opened up yourself to see a little bit deeper. Now you've opened up the light in your vessel to start seeing a little bit deeper. And now maybe you start noticing even more deceptive, subtle whispers. Maybe you've opened yourself up more to see, oh, I seem to be doing the dishes with as like a good action, but actually on a deeper level, I'm trying to have people compliment me. So I'm not really doing the dishes on the vibration of certainty, but rather I'm doing it on the vibration of lack, of searching for some sort of instant gratification. And so then it gets deeper and deeper. And it is in this the most powerful way to expand the depth of this awareness is through the transmutation of our sexual energy, because this is the most infinitely powerful energy. So we can do a whole nother thing about that, because that is certainly a crucial aspect of all of this. But I think that this is important to say, because a lot of us might think, well, I'm doing worse. I'm noticing all sorts of horrible things in myself. I'm just a horrible, oh my gosh. But really, all of this has been there in the depths of the darkness of the soul that it needs to reveal the light within. It's been there. But now we're expanding our observation, we're expanding our awareness and the light within us to penetrate deeper and see things that have always been there, but now we're actually just seeing it. Whereas in the past, we were in more comfort because we weren't actually seeing it. So as we exit into ignorance, sure, we're on the road to abundance and infinity, but you know, what does that involve? It involves like feeling like you're doing worse. So keep in mind that you're going to penetrate deeper. You're going to make so much progress. And when you see that it's like, oh, I'm doing worse. No, you're actually doing great. You're doing a great job. You're just seeing deeper and deeper. You're getting to know the self. You're getting to reveal the light within yourself, which means you have more capacity to investigate the darkness. So hope that this video is helpful. If you guys want to go more in depth on anything, let me know. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Peace out.